evening. Is it that I have the honor to address Miss Katy Holstrom?
Yeah, I'm Katy Holstrom.
I'm Otto Olsen, an attorney from Stockholm.
Please come in.
Thank you. You've heard, of course, of the death of your great-uncle, Count Werner von Swearingen.
Yeah, I read it in the papers, and I was sorry, but he was 96, and I hardly knew him.
I was his close friend. I am also the executor of his estate. You made a great impression on him.
Well, that's very nice to hear.
And while I was in Washington on some other business, I wanted to give myself the pleasure of telling you in person that he made you his only heir.
His heir? Oh, my Spritz, will you come into the kitchen, please?
Spritz? You make Spritz?
Yeah, now and then for fun.
Miss Holstrom, are you not curious as to what your great-uncle left you?
I'm so curious, I'm afraid to ask.
Well, he left you this.
What is it?
His castle.
A castle?
Not just a castle, Swearingen Castle. 220 rooms. I don't suppose... May I?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
220 rooms.
Yeah?
Him.
Oh,
him. Mr. Olson, you must realize, as a governess, I'm in no position to afford the luxury of this inheritance.
I'm sorry.
Could I sell the castle?
I'm afraid people are not standing in line to buy 220-room castles these days.
So then I really inherited nothing at all except a very large tax obligation.
I'm afraid so. And I thought I was bringing you good news.
Well, I may be the only woman in the world who can choose on which floor of 220 rooms she will sleep. I just cannot decide. It all looks so good.
Well, then, may I suggest that we start with the Glasmasters here, then the Karlshoppe, followed with the Schickling. How does that sound to you?
Like it ought to be set to music.
So. Now then, Miss Holstrom, I have asked you to lunch because I have a business proposition I'd like to present.
To me?
Yeah. I suggest you turn Swearingen Castle into a hotel, which you yourself would manage.
I manage a hotel? Well, I could not possibly. I don't know anything about managing a hotel.
I'm sure you could. Otherwise, I would not be suggesting it.
But it would take a fortune to make a hotel out of the castle. New bathrooms, central heating, furniture.
You could start with only one wing, and that would take, I believe, around $70,000.
Mr. Olson, after buying this new suit last week, my bank balance...
And a very lovely suit it is.
But a terrible bank balance.
I have already discussed this idea with one of my clients, Ingmar Engström, who is right here in Washington at this very moment.
Of course, I've heard the name.
Well, he is much interested in the idea, and I believe he would be willing to back you in this venture.
Moving permanently to Sweden?
I detect a lack of enthusiasm.
Well, it's all very sudden and a very big decision.
Of course it is. You think it over carefully. And then if you are interested, I arrange a meeting with Engström.
Thank you.
Oh, one word of warning, if you are interested. Mrs. Engström is in Washington, too. And she is... I don't know quite how to put this. She is the Fourth, Mrs. Engstrom. And there is perhaps always a fear in the back of her mind that there could be a fifth Mrs. Engstrom. Do you follow my meaning?
I think I'm ahead of you. Should the occasion arise, you would like for me to wear a high-neck dress with long sleeves.
Exactly. And it's special attention paid to some very plain hairdo.
I think you must be a very successful attorney, Mr.
Certainly is a beautiful castle.
You see one of them, you've seen them all.
Oh, yes. Just another old place where royalty has slept. When you've seen one king, you've
All
seen...
right, Mother, I get the point. It isn't just sour grapes. But who wants a castle? Oh, hi. I was beginning to get worried about you.
Oh, I've been walking and thinking.
The lunch this afternoon?
How did you know about that?
Well, Olson stopped by my office this morning looking for character references.
Did you recommend me?
I tried not to, but I couldn't think of any flaws in your character.
Thank you. He asked me if I was encumbered. Did he ask you that, too?
Well, he mentioned something along that line. I think his exact words were emotionally encumbered.
And you said?
Well, I said, of course, that you were free to go.
It's very nice of you not to stand in my way.
I felt I had to tell the truth.
Oh, Glenn. I've just remembered those lines from Pinafore.
What lines from Pinafore, Mother?
Carefully on tiptoe stealing, every step with caution feeling. I should continue to bear them in mind if I were.
Why does... Well, Katy, I would like, if you don't mind, to know is...
Yeah, of course. Mr. Olson suggests I go into the hotel business.
Into the hotel business?
Yeah, convert the castle into a hotel.
And all along I thought it was a serious proposition.
It is a serious proposition.
What, to go into the hotel business? Have you any idea of the capital involved?
Yeah, to start with, $70,000, which he has already raised.
Oh. Well, then it's just your property that's involved.
And my services to run the hotel.
Run it? You?
Run it, me. What is so surprising about that?
Well, your background, for one thing. What do you know about it?
I could learn.
Katy, today people go to college to learn how to run hotels. They don't just pick it up.
Oh, I'm not capable of it.
Katy, what do you know about hotel management, cost accounting, things like that?
I could not possibly learn?
Well, sure. Anything's possible.
Oh, thank you. Well, at least Mr. Olson has faith in me.
Oh, great.
He also suggests I start thinking about my future.
Perhaps he's right.
While, of course, I can always get another job when the boys grow up. I think the next job for me is running a hotel in Sweden in a castle which I happen to own.
Far be it from me to stand in the way of a wealthy landowner.
Castle owner.
Brother.
Mr. Morley, I am not your brother. Just think about that.
Miss Holstrom, do...
Thank you. Do I look all right?
Perfect.
I have a feeling that is an insult.
Perfect for the part.
So, this must be the young lady with the car.
How do you do, Miss Angster?
Oh, darling, this is Miss Holstrom, my wife.
How do you do, Mrs. Angster?
I have heard about your castle hotel idea. And I think it is perfectly charming. So, now, if you will excuse me, I do have an appointment.
Pleasure to have met you.
And you. Back for lunch, darling?
So, Now, Otto tells me that you wish to go ahead with this hotel idea of his.
Yeah, but I'm worried about all that money.
I assure you, Miss Holstrom, this small investment is nothing for you to worry about.
$70,000 is not very much money to Mr. Engstrom.
That to me...
I value your ideas much more highly than these few dollars. Please, I am most interested.
Well, I think the castle should be restored just the way it was in the 17th century, with addition, of course, of new bathrooms, central heating, and comfortable beds.
I like it. I like it.
The servants would be in costumes of the 17th century. The guests would dine in the great hall by torchlight, and we could have minstrels and jesters to entertain them.
Enough. It is a deal, provided, of course, you yourself will run the hotel. Now, I will put up the money, and we will divide the profits 50-50.
It sounds fair to me.
You must have more questions.
No,
There are many details to be worked out.
of course. Well, Miss Holstrom?
Questions of hotel management, cost accounting.
Naturally. So?
Well, I guess, Mr. Olson?
My advice is to say yes.
Yeah?
Very much the same as yes.
So, it is a firm deal, and we are partners. Now, Otto, you draw up the contracts. Then cable Stockholm, engage the finest architects available to go right out to the castle to make a study. Then I want estimates on heating, plumbing, furnishings, everything.
Dear Miss Holstrom.
Good morning, Mr. Olson.
Mr. Morley.
Well, hello there.
It is a continuing pleasure to see you again, sir. Miss Holstrom, I brought around the contract between you and Mr. Engstrom. I thought before the signing tonight, perhaps you might like to have Mr. Morley go over them for you.
Oh, I would not want to bother, Mr. Olson.
Not at all, Katy. I'd be glad to.
Well, I certainly would not want to impose.
Please, Katy, I would like to do it.
Very well. Thank you.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get right on this. Oh, Mr. Olson, you might stop by my study before you leave, just in case anything comes rapidly to mind.
Very well. Thank you.
Won't you come in, please?
Well, everything is going ahead. Already a dozen interior decorators are at work in your castle, going over plans and sketches.
My goodness. When Mr. Engstrom moves, he really moves.
He's very vigorous in his pursuits, especially his business pursuits. But you will never guess what is his hobby.
What is it? Big game hunting.
No, bird watching.
Well, that's my hobby, too.
Uh-oh.
What do you mean, uh-oh?
Well, that is something else that you must never reveal in front of Mrs. Engstrom.
Well, I'm beginning to feel very guilty about all the things I must conceal.
Well, bird watching is a hobby Mrs. Engstrom does not share with her husband. I'm sure you understand.
I have never watched a bird in my life.
I don't want you to accept. Katy, please don't go.
Oh, Mr. Morley, I wish you would have said this before.
So do I. I wish I hadn't let my male ego stand in the way of my reason and my needs. Katy, I apologize.
It's too late.
Why? You haven't signed the contract yet. Surely you can change your mind if you want to.
I cannot do that. I've given Mr. Engstrom my word. He's gone ahead and spent the money. Oh, Mr. Morley, for a man who's supposed to be so good at making speeches, couldn't you have spoken up sooner?
Your guests are here, Katy.
I'll be right down.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Congressman Morley, may I present Mr. and Mrs. Engstrom?
Well, this is indeed a pleasure.
How do you do?
May I take your wrap?
Oh, thank you.
Katy will be here in just a moment.
I suppose she is cooking dinner and fixing things up. She's so capable. I'm sure she'll be very efficient in her new job. She's so down to earth.
Yes, she has a practical side. Ah, here she is now.
My dear Miss Engstrom, how wonderful it is to see you again. And how are you, Miss Engstrom?
I'm very well, my dear Miss Holstrom.
My, doesn't Miss Holstrom look lovely tonight?
Yes, doesn't she?
You must come and sit down with me, dear Miss Engstrom. Well, now that we're partners, we must get to know one another much, much better.
Well, yes, of course.
Hasn't the weather been wonderful the last few days, Mrs. Engstrom?
Always a bit nippy this time of the evening.
I hope you will all forgive me, but dinner will be a few minutes late. I saw the most wonderful bird in the garden this afternoon.
Bird? What bird?
A mountain chickadee.
How very interesting.
In Washington, no. It must have been a black-capped chickadee.
No, it was a mountain chickadee with a white stripe on his forehead. But how did you know? You're not a bird watcher, too.
Well, yes.
Oh, how wonderful. When you come to our hotel, we will have many opportunities to go bird watching together.
Won't that be nice?
Yes. Well, you see, actually, I don't have much time for my hobbies these days.
Well, you have a right to relax, too. You must find time.
The trouble is, my dear Miss Holstrom, there's a danger that he may find himself with too much time on his hands.
Mrs. Engstrom has a wonderful sense of humor.
I can see that. Please come with me into the kitchen, and we can talk about bird watching while I finish my torta.
Otto, I just remembered that telephone call we have to make to Jorgensen.
Jorgensen? Oh, Jorgensen. Yeah, we must call Jorgensen right away. Please, a phone.
Well, of course. My study is just at the head of the stairs.
Thank you.
And what is your hobby, Mrs. Engstrom?
I have no hobbies, Miss Holstrom. I devote full time to my husband.
I'm afraid we have just had some very worrisome news.
Yeah, we just talked to Jorgensen in Stockholm.
And we find a sudden weakness in our position on the stock market.
Most complicated. It requires some refinancing.
And unfortunately, we must make some immediate decisions.
Yeah, I'm afraid we will have to go right back to the hotel. Jorgensen is waiting.
I thought you said he was in Stockholm.
Ole Jorgensen. This is Sven Jorgensen, who is right here in Washington.
What a shame you cannot have dinner with us.
I cannot tell you how sorry I am. I was so looking forward to it.
I get your things.
Good night, Miss Holstrom.
So nice.
I guess there will be no chance to sign the contract this evening.
I'm afraid it must be postponed for some time.
Maybe a very long time.
Yeah. But that's the way it is in business. Ups and downs.
Well, I'll just have to get used to the disappointment.
Somehow, Miss Holstrom, I think you will. Well, thank you. Even more delicious than last time. You make great spritz, Miss Holstrom.
Thank you. I've had more time to practice my Swedish cooking.
By the way, Mr. Olson, how are Mr. Engstrom's financial problems coming along?
I feel certain we will manage, Mr. Morley, but I thank you for asking. Now, regarding that deal on your castle.
Well, I was under the impression that the whole deal was off.
Oh, that was one deal. This is another.
Another deal?
Looks very impressive.
I think you'll find everything in order.
What? Don't you want me to look that over for you, Katy?
Oh, no, that won't be necessary. Do you have a pen?
Oh, certainly. Sign here.
Are you sure you don't want me to, just to be sure?
But what could go wrong, Mr. Morley? All Miss Holstrom is signing is a letter offering to make a gift of her castle to the Swedish people.
You're going to give away the castle?
Mr. Morley, in my family, we always give castles away.